Make sure you don't make this mistake in Wuchang. In Wuchang, there are these doors that'll ask you a question, and depending on your answer, if you answer right, they'll give you some great gear or a special item. If you answer this question wrong, it becomes a mimic chest, teleporting you to a different location where you now have to defeat an enemy, but you do get some story lore. There's a lot of these throughout the game. The first one you come across, make sure you choose the first answer, the Winged Ascension. It'll give you a benediction perk for your weapon. Otherwise, if you select the wrong answer, you can't get that benediction. Wuchang has a lot of different experiences for your second playthrough, which is why these options exist. So make sure you switch up your answers on New Game Plus so you can unlock everything. Whatever you do, do not sleep on elemental builds or lifesteal in Wuchang. Lifesteal is so good. You need to make sure that you're using this ASAP. You can build this with any weapon of your choice. That's the awesome thing about Wuchang, is that no specific build is just for one weapon. You totally can use different styles for it. Lifesteal is going to help out a lot with all enemies, including bosses. It completely changed combat for me in Wuchang, allowing me to heal back health with each strike dealt, and it lasts about a minute long after you activate it. My only regret is that I wish that I started using it way earlier. And by the way, you use this by unlocking Temperance, which you obtain after the first hour of the game, right after you beat the Dutanga boss. Once you do that, it unlocks Tempers and Temperance. Temperance is a buff that you can apply to your character and weapons, which will imbue them with more damage and awesome elemental or bonus effects. You activate this by using the arm item that's in your inventory. These replenish the same way that your flasks do when you rest at a site of grace or shrines. Make sure you add these to your shortcuts ASAP as soon as you get Temperance and you're starting to use them within combat or before boss fights. Lifesteal, or as this game calls it, Leech, can actually be unlocked super early with 9 skill points in the elusive tree, and we can enhance this even more with certain accessories and pendants. You can unlock the Lifesteal pendant very early around this time too, which makes it so that every enemy that you defeat will heal you back a small amount of health, making this perfect for mobs of enemies. We can equip a perk to your weapon also, which is called Benediction. You'll learn this eventually in the game. Specifically, the Stone Backstab Rejuvenation perk. This makes it so that every strike behind an enemy deals you back health. So you're gaining back health from the back strikes. The Temperance Lifesteal is gaining you back health per hit. And of course, the Lifesteal pendant for enemies dying is healing you back too. This is such a strong build that you do not want to ignore it. And on top of that, we have plenty more in-depth guides coming to the channel with deeper videos to discuss this further. Backstrike attacks are also amazing. This game has a lot of tools for insane offensive fun. Whether they are heavy attacks to cripple the enemies or standard strikes, from beginning to end in this game, it'll save you a lot in fights and boss fights in Wuchang. From parries and counters to simply dodging behind enemies, just look at the satisfaction. You're done, son. You're done. Ah! You can even enhance backstrike attacks even more with Skyborn Might, an absolute game changer. Perhaps the best early on use for Skyborn Might is with your heavy attack and backstrikes. By default on Longsword, you can tap heavy attack and it will do a slow jab stab animation. Holding down heavy attack performs a different move, another slow but heavy upward slash attack, which can also knock down enemies. But with Skyborn Might build up, which is this game's unique combo currency system, you can simply tap heavy attack and now the upward slash will come out instantly. This is an amazing combo tool, and if it's used behind the enemy as a backstrike, it can build up their stagger stun gauge a lot or instantly fill up for most enemies, which can help you cheese plenty of fights, especially early on. You can dodge around or behind enemies, which by the way, perfect dodges will give you 1 free Skyborn Might, and then you immediately do a heavy slash, which will stun them or give them tons of stun gauge, allowing you to then execute them. This works against light to medium humanoid enemies, including bosses and even the larger enemies as well. They just won't get knocked down immediately from this. But it can stagger them and deals a great amount of stun that can interrupt enemy moves. And it's also super useful to pin bosses and all enemies down. Now, while enemies are stunned, you'll see they kneel down. You can then execute an Obliterate attack, which is an execution animation that gives you invulnerability frames through the entire animation. It knocks enemies down while dealing a chunk of damage to them. And if the enemy icon is red, that means you're actually in range to execute them. And you can hold the attack button in order to do this. If the icon is white, that means you're not close enough or not in range. But what I like to do is when they get stunned, you actually can double attack them twice, and then when you get closer and it's red, you can hold the attack button down to then execute them. This way you get extra bonus damage tacked on for free by not immediately going in for the obliterate. Try to hit them 2 or 3 times before then, and then hold the attack down once it's red to then go into the obliterate attack. It does a lot of damage. Now I want to go a little bit deeper on Skyborn Might Feathers. You can actually further enhance your combos and combat speed in Wuchang with this. Skyborn Might is the most important base mechanic of Wuchang. With this, you can build up stacks, which is notated by the feathers icon on the bottom left of your character portrait. By default, you can build up to 3 stacks total, but this can actually be raised and enhanced further to 5 stacks, if you build it up in the tree, that is. You build stacks in a number of ways. Perfect dodging will always give you 1 stack, and with the longsword weapon, your second combo hit generates a stack of Skyborn Might, while the axe weapon, for example, will generate 3 stacks of Skyborn Might on the 4th combo hit. You can also equip a perk that will let you gain a Skyborn Might from killing an enemy. Every weapon is different with how it builds this, but the main use of Skyborn Might lets you use abilities instantly in combat as a combo, where normally it wouldn't be able to be a follow-up. For example, if we try using Blink Kick raw or mid combo, it has a long startup and it doesn't flow well. But if you have Skyborn Might and you use Blink Kick raw or mid combo, you'll notice it's a faster startup, has a different chime sound effect, and it also is an enhanced move via Skyborn Might. This allows you to play Wuchang in a super fast-paced combat style if you really wanted to, which is my favorite thing about this game, being able to do that. Wuchang is also very skill point friendly, meaning that if at any point you want to try out a new weapon or retweak some stats, you always can for free. Respecking is done easily by pressing the square button on PlayStation or the X button on Xbox. Depending on where you press this, where you're highlighting on the tree, it'll refund all the points spent back to this point. So if you want to go back 1 level, you totally can, and you could also erase an entire tree if you just wanted to, or just 4 nodes. It is very flexible, so at any time if you find yourself not using a move anymore, like Blink Kick for example, early on for me was a move that I used non-stop, but towards the mid game it does fall off in terms of viability, as a lot of bosses don't get knocked down anymore, so I ended up refunding the 2 points from Blink Kick and instead use them in other areas. If you found these at all helpful and you want some more Wuchang videos, hit the subscribe button and notification bell to help raise that 38% even higher so you don't miss out on what we got in store for you guys. Not only do we have these amazing tips, we got build guides, we got farm guides, we got boss guides, and all that stuff, as well as individual weapon things on the way. You don't want to miss any of that. Farming early game isn't exactly the best thing I would say to go for. We do have a really good mid-game farming point that is just going to really level up things very fast for you guys. And of course, you can farm towards the end of the game. All of that is going to be on the channel in a couple of days, and you do not want to miss out on that. Very early on in Wuchang, I actually got lost for hours not knowing where I needed to go, and it very well might happen to you guys. Once you go through Warship's Rise and you unlock the shortcut for the temple by knocking down this specific branch right here, you're going to be able to access an entirely new area, but not only that, a shortcut leading to the temple. This whole area has a lot of stuff to offer. It takes quite a long time to navigate it. There's tons of side quests here and bosses and such. So once I completed all of this in this area, I was confused because nothing else was accessible. This game will do that to you, and I've talked to a lot of other reviewers, and I wasn't the only one who was kind of stuck at this point. But in order to progress the story, we need to get to this enemy fortress right here, and at this point of the stage, there is a staircase kind of hidden towards the left of this building. That staircase is where you want to go to progress the story and continue forward with Wuchang. I literally for 4 hours was stuck and had no idea where to go, but it all along was here off to the side, hidden by this staircase. So please be warned of this and keep this in mind for your playthrough. If you do find yourself getting stuck or lost, you might have to go here in order to progress further. One more major thing about the skill tree, you're going to want to make sure to invest in the left side of the tree called Elusive. This tree allows you to increase your temperance charge uses, which we talked about a lot earlier. It gives you more temperance, but it also allows you to increase the amount of flasks that you hold in stock, and also will increase the amount of health you gain back from your flasks. By far, it's the most important tree in the game in my opinion. You can also increase the amount of Skyborn Might stacks that you hold in total, starting with 3 to 5 by unlocking Skyborn Call 2 and Skyborn Call 3. As you play through the game and you unlock and defeat different bosses, you'll often find yourself unlocking new spells to use in combat. You can use spells by spending Skyborn Might, which I absolutely love because there's no mana system involved in this game. Your offense and defense build up Skyborn, remember this. So you can just use these to start casting magic. Some spells cost 1, 3, or even 5 Skyborn Might, And even if you're not building your magic stat for character magic, it's still really good to use these anyways, because the raw damage is absolutely great and having a range attack helps you out a lot in fights. My personal favorite is Burning Flames. This spell, when you cast it, it actually only costs 3 Skyborn Might, but your character does a backdash and shoots out 3 fireballs at enemies. This is so good because you can perfect dodge enemy attacks, and with this, it gives yourself an extra dodge. Our next tip here is specifically for longsword users. The sword counter move parry is actually a lot better than I originally thought. The game doesn't immediately give you it. You have to unlock it in the skill tree. Thankfully, it's not that far into the skill tree. But at first, I really didn't like this move because it didn't feel like it didn't immediately disable enemies, if you get what I mean. I don't know if I like that too much. It would be cool if the parry kind of... it's not really a parry, it's a counter. It would be cool if it just sort of knocked the enemy back in a way. But actually, it does. I was wrong. You have to upgrade it to level 2 and level 3, and then it will knock enemies back and fully deflect their moves, allowing me to get an execution off like in Bloodborne or other Souls games. But actually, it's still pretty good. You can only parry enemy weapon attacks, so melee hits can't be parried, but the light to medium enemies can have their attacks completely stalled, where when you parry them, you deflect their move entirely and they get knocked back slightly, completely canceling their animation. And then your follow-up attack can actually deal heavy stagger bar damage or knock them on the ground, and while they're knocked on the ground you can sneak behind them and backstrike them if you have the open window for that. By the way, the timing of the parry is really huge and very forgiving, as well as the dodge in this game. You'll find that pretty often early on. You can be a little bit early and still get that parry or that dodge to go off. I mentioned before, but originally I was team blink kick. I love that move so much, but there is a boss fight that forces you to learn the clash mechanic and parry mechanic in order to defeat them a little bit easier. Both the dodge window and parry windows are very large in this game, so you won't take too long to get used to it, I don't think. But for longsword, the counter is definitely good. Unless you come up against a boss that does only melee attacks, then obviously you're not going to be getting a whole lot of use out of the counter. And guys, make sure you're using your item shortcut menu. You can equip up to 4 items in total in Wuchang. Obviously, flasks for healing are very important, but so are temperance arms. What I recommend you do, though, is you put the healing flask on the second icon here in this row, and then the temperance arm, you put that in the 3rd position. The 1st and 4th position can be whatever it is you want, most likely potions to counter poison or corruption and blight. Now, whenever you hold down the square button on PlayStation or the X button on Xbox, you can actually bring up the shortcut menu, where the flask items are on the left bumper and the left triggers, and the right bumper and the right triggers. So with this specific setup, your healing item will be on your left bumper, and your right bumper will be your temperance, which allows you to go into your offense very quickly. This helps a lot in battle, so I really recommend to get used to this early on, so this way you don't have to cycle through the quick menu and potentially die. This happened to me way too many times to count, so definitely use this. My other tip is more of a general one. This game has a lot of mechanics, but it introduces them, in my opinion, in the worst way. Immediately after defeating bosses, when you're given new spells, new items, you're also given sometimes new mechanics, and oftentimes you will miss stuff. Like for me, it was tempering. You are given a menu right after you defeat the Dutanga boss on how to equip tempers to boost your damage, but you aren't told exactly how to use them. You have to use an item in your inventory in order to activate Temperance, temper arm looking item. I didn't learn this properly until much later on, but keep in mind, the game also does have a tutorial 2 tips menu, so from here, you can always reread and relearn all the important stuff that you might have skipped over, or you might have missed, or the game didn't explain properly the first time over. But overall, this video shows off a lot of the important stuff for you guys. We have plenty more builds, and I'm going to be going more in depth about the burn build, the lifesteal build, as well as the best farm spots. So you can expect a boss guide as well for most enemies, because I promise you, you're going to need it. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Wuchang videos are on the way and you don't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.